Welcome to the Football Retro Podcast.
The word welcome, I guess, is stretching it a little when you're an Australian in a place like this today.
Hello and welcome to episode 36 of the Football Retro Podcast. I'm your host Johnny and we're back at a full table. How you doing, guys?
Great to be back, full table, welcome back.
We missed you, Akram.
Oh, thank you.
Especially Fatty.
I didn't. Yeah, fuck. I missed you badly.
You did. You know, I heard you guys. Great episode last week.
Did you really?
Fatty, giving a like to everyone. I'd like to see that, man. That was good.
Give us a recap of the episode if you heard it.
What was last week's about? Oh, no, it was a recap. Yeah, that's right. You spent like.
He doesn't have his teleprompter.
No. I remember
Can't
you
read
spent.
what's going on.
What was it? 45 minutes on the Premier League, and then like 2 minutes on the Liga, 30 seconds on Serie A. Because then matter. No,
so we spread it accordingly to the biggest leagues in the world. Then.
Market share.
Market share. Market share. Wow.
All right. So can we just first of all talk about Chelsea being champions of Europe? Thank you very much.
Yeah, what a win that was. They got it right. Thomas Tuchel got it right. Guardiola got it wrong.
To my haters out there who wanted to jump on the fact that I got the tip wrong, like everyone else tipped fucking Man City to win the Champions League. It's funny, they only come out when I get it wrong, which is very, very rarely.
I think I mentioned as well, they had to rely on their counter-attack, high press, and they got him.
You're happy that Guardiola lost more than Chelsea won?
Yeah,
it's funny. It's funny.
I was sad for Aguero, to be honest. I wanted him to
the funniest
walk
thing
out
was,
as a winner. But
the funniest thing was they were talking about the stat was 59 out of the last 60 games that Guardiola started with a defensive midfielder, and in this game he didn't at all.
That's where he got it wrong.
Which is crazy.
Fernandinho or Rodri don't even start.
He's still better than Real Madrid this year, but
why would you try?
He had to mention Real.
The question is, why would you experiment or something like that in the final?
Yeah.
Like I read a couple of comments about him overthinking it and possibly.
That's right. Yeah.
He tends to do that.
Overcomplicating.
I did too. He's
head.
developing a reputation of overthinking individual games and sacrificing some of his overall beliefs for these individual matches, and sometimes usually it's been biting him in the ass.
You know what that also is, though? I think that's actually a sign of how important that game was to him, because being at City for however long he's been
now,
and they've finally made the Champions League final. I don't think they're going to get a chance like this for another few years, to be honest.
Not just that, but like Pep Guardiola's been regarded as, you know, since he's come onto the coaching seat, as quite possibly the best coach in the last 20 years or in the last 15. You know, he's revolutionised the way football's been played, tiki-taka football and all these. That Barcelona squad at their peak was perhaps quite possibly the greatest club side of all time. Yeah. However, since leaving Barcelona, he's not really won much except in the domestic leagues. He's not really won a European Cup.
Yeah, he's missed out on Bundesliga. Won Bundesliga, he missed three
he missed
semi-final
European Cup
appearances
in Bayern Munich, and
3 times semi-finals.
And a lot of people look at that as a spell in which he didn't exactly deliver on the promise.
He's not he's not far from being the most winning coach of all time.
No, yeah, absolutely. I just mean that what Fatty's saying though is that you could feel the pressure on that match.
Oh yeah,
100%. He hasn't won the European 100%. Cup for quite a while. He's probably, you know.
But not just that, the stakes at Man City, the sort of changing of an era, because a lot of the players that they had since they first won the league have all moved on. That whole dynamic saying, like Sergio Aguero is probably one of the last.
Absolutely,
and there's a lot of emphasis on that game.
Yeah.
For Man City, for Aguero, for himself.
Aguero, I'm going to win the Champions League before I leave Man City. So it was like a fairy tale that the perfect ending would have been that. So he's clearly.
You watch the game though, like none of them had won their game. Like De Bruyne was kept quiet. Shout out to N'Golo Kante. What a game he had. You know, shutting him down.
Ballon d'Or.
Yeah,
I've said it before, I'm saying it again.
But
Kante deserves the Ballon d'Or.
I don't know about that, John.
Guys like Bernardo Silva, I didn't hear his name until he came off. Oh, he's coming off. Where was your game? Didn't hear him. And then Gundogan as well was kept quiet as well. He had a great season, but his game's not effective. And Guardiola not having a defensive mid, I reckon, cost him.
Yeah, it's quite possible, especially because that Chelsea midfield was busting the game with a lot of energy, a lot of physicality, and like we said, especially from Kante. I just want to touch on you thinking that maybe for Ballon d'Or. I would like to say, let's see how Euro and Copa America go. Like if Messi smashes Copa America and wins.
But what if Kante wins?
What if
Kante's influential
international tournaments go?
What if Kante's influential with France winning Euro?
100%. That's what if. The point is, let's see how the international tournaments go.
I made this comment. Someone made the same comment in a chat, stating that what if someone does it with their national team and wins it. And I said, okay, but then you're putting the emphasis on either a goal scorer or a creator, because it's going to have to be someone that scores the goals or creates to win their team. It's not going to be a Kante to say, oh yeah, how's amazing. So then it's unfair for someone like Kante.
It is unfair, but I would argue that's been the way it's been for a long time.
But then you're talking about a 4-week tournament where they possibly say 7 games or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right? To then overtake what Kante's done in a whole year, I don't think so.
But I mean, look, I get what you're saying, but no, like number one, I don't think Kante's been at that peak the entire season. I think he's come at the right time at the business end.
He did struggle a bit.
He did struggle, but it's not just that. It's always been the way that an international tournament is going to take precedent, especially if you're stars. If Messi or Cristiano just kills it in the international tournament, that's 6 months from now. That's going to be the attention, not Kante's performance. I'm not suggesting that's right or wrong. I'm telling you that's just the way it is.
I'd like
So
to
you're
see
telling
it.
me, are you telling me if Hazard leads Belgium to Euro 2020 glory?
And if Hazard leads Belgium to 2020 glory, and then he starts next season on fire, if Real Madrid first, listen.
Before the next season starts.
No, it does. No, it's not. It goes by the end of the year. It's a yearly
Calendar
thing.
year, isn't it?
Calendar year.
So the point is that look at the end of the year. If Real Madrid's first and killing it, and Hazard is playing out of his mind, and then in Euro they win, 100% they'll give it to him. Now I'm not saying it's right or wrong, because Kante, and I would like to see players who are not attackers get recognised more. But I'm just saying, like, honestly, I don't think the Ballon d'Or race is settled just yet.
No, I don't agree.
Yeah, look, the Euros will have a big spotlight on that, and whoever does well will be a shout out for the Ballon d'Or. But I think at the moment Kante has got to be up there. He has to be.
You mentioned Guardiola, and just want to touch on one thing. We spoke last week in regards to Aguero leaving. Why was he leaving? There's no natural replacement so far for Man City. And at the age of 32, he signed for Barcelona on a free transfer.
Yeah.
Now, after the Premier League finished, Guardiola got interviewed and he was crying about how amazing Aguero is and how wonderful he is as a player, as a person, all this stuff. Aguero's dad came out yesterday and said, I don't believe his tears, I don't believe anything he says. Guardiola is all about him, and if he wanted to, Aguero would still be there. But from the day that Guardiola came to Man City, he didn't like Sergio.
Well, look, Guardiola does a good job at public relations. He loves to put a good face of being the good guy. You know, he loves to show that he's always the good one of all this, and he doesn't. Credit to him for that.
Hate now.
No, it's true. He does.
That's the Real Madrid.
He does.
I don't want to get on his bad side. I heard stories.
No, he does. He has. He does a good show of putting a good face on. And
So similar to Zidane.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned his Aguero's dad, because I read the same thing about his brother. Came out and said that it's all bullshit and Guardiola's full of shit. He didn't like Aguero and all that sort of stuff.
There was a bit of tension, wasn't there? Like when he came at the club, wasn't there with Guardiola?
He was the captain and the leader, and then all of a sudden Guardiola came in and he started getting benched,
And he started shifting him out and letting Gabriel Jesus play more often, and everyone was like, what's going on? And then Aguero used to play himself into form and into the starting 11, so then that tension used to not be so much in the media because Aguero was playing every week. So there was definitely something that there in their relationship. Look, Darcy's right that Guardiola does like to play the media really well, and he's very savvy with that, which... Like, good on him. You got to be able to know how to play the media.
It's part of the job.
It's part of the job, and it's actually something that I think a lot of coaches could do better at. But with Aguero, I'd be very surprised if he was completely fake when it comes to his opinion of Aguero. I think like what we've talked about before about Guardiola overthinking things. I think I'm just coming off from the outside thinking that Guardiola's feelings about Aguero have been purely tactical, and for whatever reason he has these beliefs about putting certain players into certain positions, and I think once he made that opinion, it's hard for him to change his mind.
So not a personal thing.
I don't think so, but maybe Aguero took it personally, and maybe that certainly hurt their relationship.
Possibly.
Because if you're suggesting that he never liked Aguero and all that, then he's completely lying and fabricating those last few words that he had in tears and all that. That's crazy for someone to really get that emotional about someone. I also think
it's a bit of a media beat up as well. They love to hype it up.
True.
Yeah. Like, for example, when Aguero obviously did the thing at Barcelona and he turned up there and put the jersey and did the presentation, whatever, and he said, "Oh, I'm happy to be at Barcelona, the greatest club in the world," whatever. And they go, "Oh, you know, Aguero takes a parting shot at Man City. Like, what are you going to say? You're just at the new club. What are you going to say?
Every new
I still
sign
love
says
Man
it's the
City.
greatest club in the
Of
world.
course you're going to say.
It's
Like,
their dream
you're
to
going to
get
Real Madrid
there.
say,
Yeah.
I've always been a Madrid fan since I was a kid or some shit. Like,
And
everyone's gonna say it.
every player
Of course.
does that,
Yeah.
especially the marquee signings.
That's it's
gotta
always
sell
a bit of a
papers,
beat
man.
up.
They gotta
it's a
sell
bit of a
papers.
beat up.
So all these talk, especially last week, we touched on on the episode as well about coaches going from one way to the other. A lot of transfer rumors based on coaches more than players.
Yeah, 100%.
It has been.
It's been like what, a week since the season finished.
A
It's
lot
been
of,
like
lot
a
of,
relax.
lot of,
Been
lot
a
of
coaching
movements,
merry-go-round.
news and stories and
Coaching
rumours.
merry-go-round.
Yeah.
And
That's
it
right,
led,
Fatty.
it led to the topic today, which is coaches' transfers and appointments of coaches in different teams, in weed teams. Let's do a quick recap. If one of you wants to do a quick recap on the changes that's happened in the last 2 weeks with the coaches, can someone give us
Fuck, where do we start?
a quick summary? Seti out, for
Let's
example.
start from Italy because I think
Wow.
that was sort of the domino effect.
Or
Yeah, it really was. And I mean, I think
Pirlo getting the sack from Juve.
Well, no, I think it was Conte first.
it
leaving
was
Inter Milan.
Conte first because
Yeah.
and that was a domino
He-
effect because
yeah,
no
right,
one
left.
assumed Conte was leaving. They just
Yeah.
won Scudetto, but
Yeah.
obviously
for the
Inter's
first time
financial
in
crisis,
a decade or whatever.
first time
it
in a
was.
decade. So
Yeah.
Inter's financial crisis had led to Conte leaving, which then created a chain reaction. Oh well, would you say it was Roma appointing Mourinho first? That really started everything.
No, I think Mourinho
Yeah.
was the first to jump the gun. Like,
Yeah,
obviously he got
definitely.
sacked at Tottenham. No one's really going to go to Tottenham as a fucking big club. But Mourinho was never going to be out of work for a very long time. And
No, yeah.
And the only vacancy at the time was Roma because none of the clubs were, their managers
And
were
he
moving
just jumped
it.
right in.
And he jumped into it. So
you think-
that,
you think
I think
you're-
that was just a take one out, one in,
So
and it was
Do you
done.
think he regrets it now?
Possibly, but then I've heard a lot of people comment on the potential of him going to Inter, and the idea was, well, if you went back, you would kind of like hurt the legacy that he's created there at Inter,
Not
which
just
was
that.
such a perfect
Not just
way
that.
to exit and all that. You know what I
Not
mean?
just that, but you're trying to follow in Conte's footstep where he's just won the league out of 10 years.
Yeah. And
So
he
you're going to be
never liked
expected
Conte.
you're going to be expected to back it up or at least be
100%.
competing. So if he
Yeah.
doesn't, he's going to be a failure.
And also
And
because
Mourinho and
him
Conte don't kind of get along.
Him and Conte don't get along. It's a bad rivalry. But anyway, Johnny, you're asking for a recap, and so it sounds like Fonseca from
Sorry, Conte left. Who came in for? I didn't say.
Conte, who came in for Conte? Simone Inzaghi from
From Lazio,
Lazio.
yeah.
Lazio right now do not, as the time of recording, have a manager. They're looking at Maurizio Sarri.
Yeah.
Fonseca left Roma. Mourinho came in. Pirlo was sacked by Juventus.
Nah.
Allegri has come back.
Gattuso left Napoli
Gattuso
and went to
Gattuso left
Fiorentina.
Napoli,
Back
went
to
to Fiorentina.
Who's at Napoli now?
I still actually
No
think they're kind of looking for.
Still looking.
They were
No
looking at
one's
Sergio Conceição for a little bit.
From Porto. Yeah.
From Porto, but that's kind of died off. So yeah,
Used to love
right
him as a
now.
player, but
Yeah, he was
So, yeah,
a good player.
loved him as a player.
but yeah. So right now that's not been a thing. Zidane, as we know, left, and he left with
Yeah.
quite a bang with that letter to
Yeah,
fans
what a
in the
story
newspaper.
that is, yeah.
Throwing a few daggers at Florentino Perez.
And the club.
So
was, bored.
initially we thought Zidane's going to Juve.
Look, it makes sense, and I still think that eventually, logically, he will eventually get there. But he's a very pragmatic, smart coach who chooses these decisions very selectively.
I still think he's eyeing the French national team job.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we've
So
always said,
early in his career.
Yeah, look,
Not early. I mean,
Yeah.
he's not that much younger than Didier Deschamps.
not only his coaching career. He's only been coaching for 5 years.
Yeah.
regardless,
difference-
What's Deschamps' pedigree?
Well, Deschamps used to coach Monaco,
Yeah,
and he
what-
coached Juve.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. But was he any success?
no, he wasn't.
Took
for
him to
Juventus.
Monaco to the same Champions League
But
final.
you could argue that Zidane has done it on a bigger stage and done
Oh, yeah.
bigger things than
I don't rate-
Deschamps.
I don't rate
Aside
Deschamps.
from- Aside
At
from
the
Deschamps'
time of-
World Cup
I don't
win.
rate
But no,
Deschamps
but
as a
like,
coach.
and you're
I don't
totally
really rate
right.
him.
You're totally right, Fadi, because at the time of the hire for Didier Deschamps compared to Zidane now,
Yeah.
there's no comparison.
100%.
Yeah.
Deschamps at the time, everyone was like, "What the fuck?"
I don't rate
Deschamps.
Deschamps as a coach.
But the idea is, regardless, I think both the France national team and Juventus are in Zidane's future, but
Yeah.
it's just all about timing.
When? Yeah, it's about
Because
when.
Juventus right now, it's not the most smartest hire. First of
No.
all, Cristiano Ronaldo looks like he's going to stay
One more season.
one more seson.
Yeah, but then then you're changing the whole thing. You're building a team around
You have to
someone else.
rebuild exactly. Dybala looks like he's going to stay, and he had an up and down season.
Yeah.
Morata is their only other number 9 besides Cristiano Ronaldo, and
He's rubbish.
Well, according to Fatty, he's rubbish. So then they need to re-energize the center of the midfield. Arturo did not really live up to expectations coming from Barcelona.
Aaron Ramsey there still.
The only bright
He's
spot
leaving
was
apparently.
Yeah.
the only bright spot they had was Federico Chiesa from Fiorentina. He moved. He was a right winger. They put him left wing, and he's been balling out for him. Besides that, yeah, it's not a great attractive place right now. So I don't think Zidane would have went there anyway.
No.
Yeah.
And the writing's on the wall when Juventus went for a coach that hasn't been coaching for the last 2 years in Allegri, couldn't get a coaching job anywhere else in Europe, which was weird to be honest, because he was considered a pretty elite coach at the time.
I think they just went a safe option. I went back to what better the devil you know sort of thing. And
Well, Pirlo wasn't a safe option.
Yeah, he shouldn't have been appointed in the first place.
Pirlo, they were just trying to. I think they were trying to be a bit bold and
To be
a
honest,
hero.
Club legend.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't think he did that badly though. I just think
He won a trophy,
that Juventus team also just needed a lot more rejuvenation.
Yeah.
Even beyond what the coach could bring. First of all, and also when you stylistically switch different coaches, like you went from Allegri, who was a defensive, pragmatic coach, then you went to Sarri, who was all about vertical tiki-taka and possession-based football. Now you're going to Pirlo, who really doesn't have an identity yet. He's still developing. It's hard to get on a wave.
He jumped into it quite quick. I think.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the AC Milan.
AC Milan, Pioli looks like he's staying. I know a lot of AC Milan fans would prefer Pioli to be out because he did also have a really up and down season. He was totally dependent on Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Frank Kessie to really get him through. But it looks like he's going to stay, especially with all these chopping and changing. I think they're going to be happy with sticking pat.
Funny you mentioned Ibrahimovic. He didn't even make the Sweden squad.
He's injured, isn't he?
He's still injured.
Yeah.
Still, fuck. He was considering his age and what he's achieved. Who has Sweden got? That's amazing. Anyway, that's another topic.
All right. Spanish. You mentioned Zidane leaving and Ancelotti coming in.
Yeah, the whole Zidane drama, the way he left. Not surprised this time seeing leave as it was 3 years ago, but you can see it was the writing was on the wall. Not writing was on the wall, but you can see there was signs that he was going to go. You can see that he wasn't happy with the lack of support he was getting.
Have you checked on Perez lately? Is he okay? How's his body language?
He's carrying on. He got his new appointment. But you can tell Zidane, there was signs he was having tension with the media, was having a bit of tension with the board as well, the club. And as much as in that letter, I don't know if you guys read the whole letter, you'd see he had some praise for Perez, but also he just
he
had issues with certain people at the club, the journalists as well. He mentioned them, and he said he gives a lot of gratitude to the players that have been stuck with him through thick and thin. I'm thinking guys of like Modric, Kroos, Benzema, Ramos, and you'd see every single player except Isco didn't send a farewell message to him for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why Isco.
You may be reading too deep into this.
Did you guys look at every player?
It came up on my feed. Everyone going thank you, gracias.
Do you follow every Real Madrid player?
I don't know. Maybe.
He follows what car they drive, right? Johnny? He follows what car they drive.
But yeah, sad the way he left, and the way he leaked it to Diario AS, which is a rival of Marca. And Marca is more of like a mouthpiece for Real Madrid.
Absolutely,
AS is not so.
They're used for their propaganda.
And they used that channel to put his letter out. And some people say whether it was a stab in the back for putting it through a newspaper as opposed to putting it on his social media first, or doing a public press conference. I don't know. Make of what you will.
Darcy, there's a couple of thoughts I had on that. First of all, I like the fact that he put it in the
He
newspaper.
had to say those points. He had to.
But I like the fact that he put it in the newspaper. It's kind of like old school, rather than put it on everyone's fucking Twitter account and shit. So I like that he did that. I thought it was hilarious though. He put it on AS Sport, and then Marca.
He got backstabbed.
He stabbed Perez in the back.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Of course, that because they got cut. They didn't get the scoop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But big story that. How it all panned out. It's such a shame as well in that way it ended like that. But
he probably doesn't care about the algorithm. He puts on the fucking newspaper in print. It's all
he's not interested in getting followers.
And then a couple of days later, all the talk about whether it was going to be Pochettino, Conte, Allegri, Raul, Xabi Alonso in the mix.
But you could
tell Ancelotti.
But you could tell, Darcy, like the news was so mixed because I was like, what is Conte doing in this conversation for Real Madrid?
Yeah.
What is Allegri doing? They're not Real Madrid coaches.
I wouldn't have wanted Conte there.
Even Pochettino, he just got to PSG.
Yeah.
But you know what? It becomes but it's the same thing like how they got Ancelotti. Surely he had a contract there, so surely there must have been some clause. They would have paid him out some money and said, "Here, fuck off," like to Everton, whatever it was. There has to be something because I don't think that contracts are what they used to be. Before it used to be a contract, that's it. It was untouchable. Now there's ways around it. No one.
There's a million clauses.
Yeah, no one really honors contracts anymore.
They're
so
just
that's why all these names get popped. Even if they're just signed there, like Pochettino, for example. I'm surprised they didn't fucking put Mourinho in the mix.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm surprised they didn't.
No, I know what you're thinking. What do you guys think about Ancelotti going to Real Madrid?
I think that's probably the best option you could have got
safe pair of hands.
out of the selection.
But the only thing is now the important thing is who
Always
they.
a bar for us.
No, there is, because this isn't the same team like that he took over in 2014, 2013. So important changes need to be made to the squad, because Marcelo's gotten older, Isco's not the same player, Ronaldo's not there, Ramos is on his way out, Modric is on his last year. So there has to be changes in the squad.
But you got superstars like Bale and Hazard.
Well, he did mention good things about them in this press conference,
we got to talk about that, because I think one of the reasons
Do we
Zidane
though?
left. I think one of the reasons Zidane left is because I think Perez has no intention of doing a major overhaul on the squad,
and that's the problem.
Because Ancelotti's come in and he's talked about Bale, how he'll play a part this season. He's still hopeful for Hazard.
He's hell yeah.
I don't think we're going to see as many signings and as much changes as everyone was thinking from Real Madrid.
So that's the thing. Like, can he get what out of this squad now? What he's got?
So what you think? You think Perez has said to fucking Ancelotti, listen, you can have the job, but fucking on my
But
terms.
don't expect any signings. Don't expect anything. Maybe their finances aren't as well as everyone.
But if
Otherwise, we'll sign someone else.
But if things
He's
go-
like, please get me out of Merseyside.
But if things go pear-shaped, then Ancelotti's going to be thrown under the bus, you know, as usual. Then here we go again.
Speaking of, I hear Koeman at Barcelona is not safe either. It's not 100% confirmed that he's saying.
Who will take over him? You reckon?
At this stage, it's still him, but there were rumours of ex-players coming in, like Xavi and...
Yeah.
Xavi got sacked from Qatar or wherever he was in the Middle East.
He's-
What the fuck?
Well, Xavi was rumoured to take the job last season before Koeman came in. Because he definitely did have an up and down season with Barcelona. Look, honestly, I think that the way the season started for Barcelona, I think it would have been unrealistic for even the most hardcore Barcelona fans to expect a La Liga title or Champions League title, because of the way that season started with Messi and all that, and all the controversy that surrounded them. So I think they didn't do too badly for what those expectations have to be. But I do think that they need to look at that attack. They need to look at what's going on with Griezmann, with Dembele. Their forward line and their defense is massive question marks.
Well, no, they've made
Aguero.
some signings now. Obviously, Aguero's there. A couple of Dutch signings, or apparently one Aldum's already confirmed from Liverpool.
Oh, really?
And Memphis Depay's on the list.
And Depay apparently is very close. So a couple of Dutch players there, which gives you an idea that possibly these are Koeman signings.
The Van Gaal days in the late 90s, early 2000s, the Dutch Revolution.
So I mean, with those two, I mean, Depay, I'm sure he'll play more as a winger, or in that sort of role. And then you've got Aguero spearheading. You've got Messi behind.
Fuck Dembele off.
but so that's
Why?
the thing.
Because he's
is
black.
No, Johnny, don't do that, Johnny.
What's with Dembele?
Part of it, but no, he's not good enough for Barcelona.
He's too injury prone. That's his problem.
The way I look at it, though, is you put Messi on the right, Aguero up top.
So we should make Messi stay.
behind.
Logic
Messi
will
will
be
be anyway.
Messi, Aguero, Griezmann. That's the logic. The same way that Suarez played there.
Yeah.
Magab,
What do you?
make him great again.
Anyway,
I can play on Maga, his thing that he hates.
Oh, you know
Mag.
acronyms.
Anyway, fair enough. But then,
MSN.
so what? You signed Depay just to sit on the bench?
Yeah, ask Koeman, not me. I don't know.
can't.
I'm telling you.
Well, they're trying to
what
get him
else
from,
they-
where's he at, Leon or Marseille? Wherever the fuck he is.
Some French
Leon.
croissant
Leon.
eating team.
Leon.
Same shit.
Put him on
I
the
get
left
confused.
wing. Put him left wing. Put
But you're,
You
so we're
love-
saying
you love
that
fucking the
Messi's
left
staying,
wing.
right?
You love playing on the left
I
wing.
think Messi will stay. Yeah.
You reckon Messi will stay? Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said before, the president's made a big impact on who was staying.
I think Aguero signing helps a lot.
Yeah.
For about
Good
6
friends.
months. For about 6 months or so, Johnny, you've predicted that Messi will stay, and you said that let's see what happens with the elections. If let's see who gets in. However, I do have to say, right? Okay, we're just started the month of June. The fact that he hasn't committed yet, even though the presidential elections finished months ago, is it not a sign of worry for Barcelona fans?
Nah,
I don't think so. No,
I think I got shut down pretty quick.
Just
Sorry,
under a
bro.
month.
Yeah, I was like,
just
oh,
under a
fuck it.
month to sign a new deal before his contract. comes out.
I just think it's funny because it's like, look, the elections has been done. The season's been wrapped up a week.
Yeah.
You would have thought the way they finished the season, they would have announced it like the next day. If he was going to stay, I think he would have stayed by now. Same with Ramos. Like, do you consider Ramos a good bet to stay at Real Madrid?
No, I think he's gone.
He's more out than in my opinion.
I think he's out. And plus, I heard. I don't know if it's true. I heard from some Spanish media outlet. I don't know if it's just tabloid selling tactics, but he told the players around Madrid to not take a 10% pay cut because he said that money is going to be used to buy Mbappe. That's what I read. I don't know if it's true.
I don't believe that.
He said that's what he's told the
He
players.
told them not to take a pay cut.
Yeah, because he's going to PSG and he wants Mbappe there. Smart man.
Like
What does that mean?
Ramos.
What does that mean?
So look, if he leaves on bad terms, that's not a good look. Again, another one that's legend that's leaving.
Another
the
one
club.
bites the dust.
It's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
I want to touch on Mourinho a little bit because talking
You wanna touch
about,
that? You want to rub up on him?
I wouldn't mind. Now,
You fucking love him.
I don't love him.
Yes, you do.
I don't think he's the best
You're
coach in
full
the
of shit.
world.
No, you've got a soft spot for him. You constantly talk about him. You were talking about you wish Tottenham win the league with him.
He did say that, yep.
Don't fucking lie.
100%.
Yeah, then fucking you love him.
And then
Shut
they
up.
went down.
Yeah, it goes Guardiola, then Mourinho.
He's a special one.
They got the conference leader.
We talk about weird appointments as managers.
Yeah.
Let's touch on his career for a little bit, right? We spoke about Porto. Last week we spoke about Chelsea, then Inter, Real Madrid. And then he got a bit weird after the Chelsea.
Then it got a bit weird.
After Chelsea,
crazy.
after Chelsea,
Then it got a
yeah.
bit weird.
I think not many people expected him to end up at United,
Okay.
and he went there. After that, like not many people expected him to go to Tottenham. No one expected that to happen.
No.
Tottenham more so, yeah, surprised. But Man United, I wouldn't say so because there was a lot of talk about him taking over Fergie.
Yeah, but he
And then-
always spoke shit about United. That's why.
He did, but there was also talk. He had that admiration for United, taking over from Ferguson, and eventually happened. But it
There was
happened.
a lot of talk about once when Ferguson left, Mourinho was going to take over.
Because at
Yeah.
the time he made Chelsea that fucking Chelsea.
yeah, he was really the special one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and
right.
He really was.
Yeah.
Now, first of all, Tottenham. Why Tottenham? Do you think it's his ego coming in and saying, "Hey, you guys can't win anything. Here I am. I'll make you win a trophy,"
100%.
and walk out of there saying, "I even made Tottenham win a trophy."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Because he always mentions whenever there's any bullshit in the press conferences or any issues like that in the media, he always rebuts it by saying, "I've won more trophies than all these managers that are currently here. I've done this. I've done that. I've how many Champions Leagues? I've how many Premier Leagues? More than all these other managers." So it's about him for himself. It's not about coming in and doing a good job for a team. He wants to say that I want a trophy here.
So, do you think it's
Well,
ironic that he
Or he's
got?
like more trophies than other managers combined.
Do you think it's ironic that he got sacked 2 days before or 3 days before he was?
That was
He
surprising.
was due to play a final with Tottenham.
That was surprising.
No, I don't think it's ironic. I think they just had enough with him with his bullshit.
But a week before the Carling
But
Cup
couldn't-
final.
Yeah,
Put
that
him-
was a
put him the way to
shit
week.
timing. Like Daniel Levy and whoever's at the top there is obviously fucked
Yeah.
in the head.
No, I mean, it has to be said, there is a bit of irony there for
Yeah.
a coach who bangs on about how many trophies he wins.
And then right
To
before-
sack him
Yeah, but he
before he
didn't choose-
possibly could win a
But he didn't
trophy.
choose to sack himself.
Right before
No,
the final.
but there's still irony there that they sacked him because right before that, and like Johnny said, when the news was fresh, you thought part of it was perhaps on purpose, just so Tottenham could say you didn't win with us because of a bit of sour grapes with a bad relationship with.
So they would
with Daniel
sabotage
Levy.
their chance of winning a trophy, which they haven't won in fucking 6-7 million years, just to prove a point.
Yeah, the timing
Like
of it
that
was
sour grapes.
unusual.
You know
A week
what?
before
It
the-
makes sense.
and
It
they
does
lost
sound
it.
like a Tottenham thing.
and they lost.
Plausible.
And they lost the final.
It's funny that, but the thing we discussed this a few weeks back. The amount of money that Mourinho has made from getting sacked for his last 5 clubs is 130 million pounds.
His
or something like
payouts
that.
are crazy.
His payouts are more than what he actually earns
Yeah.
by being there.
Yeah.
Because he has, like Tottenham now, he got 30 million paid out or some shit, or 28 million, something ridiculous. Chelsea twice when he got sacked, he got how much money?
Yeah.
It's from at Man
Good on him.
United when he got sacked, how much
Good.
money did he get? It's crazy.
He's got a
Good
good
on him.
negotiator.
Crazy. He's
got a
made
good-
more money in the last 5 years.
For getting
or
sacked.
7 years, 5 clubs, sorry, getting sacked.
I have my employees listening.
Which
Imagine
like
I get paid $28 million for getting fired.
Smart.
for life.
which brings you to Roma, right? And you're like, what happened and how did it work out for him to get to Roma? Like, first of all, it's the money issues because he's been getting sacked so many times and he's been getting all these payouts. He could afford to take like a pay cut from Roma, where I think from Tottenham he was getting paid something like 13 million, and from Roma I think it's like down to 6 or 7.
Why Roma?
But why Roma? So I think Roma is an interesting project right now. I think Serie A is in a bit of flux. As we've seen, Juventus doesn't look like the Juventus of the last 10 years. So I think that the competition's ripe for some teams to get on top. They have a lot of talented players They got Idrima Damo, who is a central defensive midfielder who's looking really talented, really exciting at 19, 20 years old. Nicola Zaniolo
He's a
is
good player. Yeah.
really fantastic. He's
Yeah.
unfortunately had a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
He had 2
Yeah.
ACLs in the last
So
2 years.
you're saying that he's this potential of Roma. What did they finish this season? Remember?
7th, I think,
Yeah, they finished 7th.
outside the Europeans.
But that doesn't mean that they don't have a lot of potential. They do, and with the right coach, you never know where they could go.
Are
right?
they playing any European football at all?
I don't know. If,
I think
maybe
they're-
the Conference
I think they're in
League.
playoff.
What the fuck is a conference league?
Nah, but they're not-
Don't
Don't
make-
make,
they're
don't make
not-
me
they're not-
angry. What the
they're
fuck's a
not.
conference league?
You mean they're not even in the
There's
playoffs?
two. There's
missed-
Champions League and Europa League.
And they
That's
The
it.
missed out
Conference
on
League,
both.
the Conference League is the same as the UEFA Nations League, where the lesser countries have to play each
It's a
other
third-tier comp.
to earn the right to play and qualify. Like here, the FFA Cup, where the lesser teams play until they get to the round of 32.
So what are they playing towards? What are they qualifying for?
The Europa League.
Yeah,
So
it's the playoffs.
it's a mini tournament before the Europa League starts.
Correct.
So something
To
like
try
that.
and get into the
Okay.
Europa League.
It's a third
But
team.
there's only limited
So it's a
spots.
qualification thing for the Europa League.
Yeah, but they only get limited spots.
But it's
to
only
get in.
it's
Yeah.
targeted more for the lower ranked nations in Europe
Yeah.
as well, like
Okay.
the Albanians and Macedonians.
But regardless, so
Oh,
then
Fatty's mates.
The boxes.
so regardless, the point is that there is a window into Europe for him, and I just think it's a really talented group of people. Roma, privately owned now.
Yeah, under
Yeah.
by the Americans. Or
I think so.
Yeah.
So I think there's
Fucking Yanks
opportunity.
and everything.
I think there's opportunity for investment, and
Yeah.
I think that's why he's looking at it. Thinks it might be exciting
so
opportunity.
Edin
I think- I think
Dzeko's
it-
still there as well.
I think you're overthinking it.
Really?
I think it was just consequence, and
It was
at the
a failure.
time, this coaching merry-go-round wasn't in effect. The domino effect hadn't started. Mourinho left. He was never going to stay out of a job for a very long time.
Okay, Inter would have been a good shot for him.
Yeah.
I think
But but the opportunity came along. There was a club opened up. He wasn't going to go to a fucking lower Premier League club. Like Tottenham's probably the lowest he was going to go. Where else was he going to go? In Italy, there was no other space. In Spain,
But
there was
see,
nothing. In
but-
Spain, where's he going to go?
But that's why it doesn't make sense, because like you said, the merry-go-round hadn't started, right? So it's like if he had bought himself wait 2 weeks, he could have had his pick.
Yeah, but he
of
didn't
a
know that was
different
gonna
guy.
happen.
He didn't know it was going to happen.
I
but-
reckon-
But common sense would dictate that there would be a few more firings.
There would have been,
you know.
there would have been talk of him going to Real.
Roma's
Actually,
still Roma. It's
I
not a-
think
it's not
he
a shit
chose it.
club.
I think he was excited to go.
big city as well.
No, I don't think he was excited.
Big city.
I think he just found there and thought, yep, perfect.
in hindsight, I think he would have loved to go to Juventus.
Yeah, I definitely
Work
think
with
that.
Cristiano maybe.
Try to win the Champions League with them.
Yeah,
Get back because Juventus finished 4th.
Yeah,
They're
Yeah.
like, I
He
can
could
make
do
him
it.
finish better.
that's
Yeah.
right.
I can make him win something.
But
I
he
can
can
make
do
him
that with
better.
Roma.
Yeah, but it's a bit harder to do with Roma than it is with Juventus.
yeah.
Now, this Mourinho to Roma sort of scenario sort of put in our heads a little bit of what other weird appointments have there been there in the past? Any coaches that you think, why was he hired there? Why did the club take a chance on this? Even recently, we spoke about Ancelotti being at Everton. That was a bit of a
Yeah.
weird one.
That was very
Yeah,
weird. That was
he's
very weird.
usually the coach in the big clubs of Europe, and then he went to a mid-table club in England.
Yeah,
and
Ancelotti.
there was a lot of hopes for him.
But you know what? It's weird
Right.
because with these bigger managers, they would always go to a capital city or somewhere where, you know, it's a bigger club. The funds are there. There's a crowd. There's a stadium. Whatever. Everton, for as long as they've been in the Premier League, they've never really there was a couple of seasons where they finished or they were challenging for the top 4.
Yeah,
But other than that, not a big they're not the big club.
they
of
haven't reached that
Merseyside.
level yet. No.
Yeah, he's not at Liverpool.
So it's a surprise.
Absolutely, it's a massive surprise.
Yeah.
Like for them to they were more they won out of that more than he did. But they got Ancelotti to fucking.
There was big hopes for him there. Yeah, they
rather
actually
than
thought
that.
they would crack the top
But
4.
it was
They,
ne-
they started off good too.
They started off great, but he was never
Yeah.
going to fucking get the money
But
that
then
he
they
needed
just-
to do what he wanted with the
He
squad.
attracted players like James Rodriguez.
Yeah, but that was the biggest signing that he could make, and that says a lot. The
I
guy's
know.
not. The guy's not. You know,
He's-
Superstar.
I mean, he could
dropped
be.
off a lot,
Yeah,
James
but
now.
after he burst onto the scene with Colombia and in the
First year with Real was good.
in the World Cup and then with Real Madrid, everyone thought, okay, this
Yeah,
guy's going to be a
he's-
superstar, and he just
He's actually become injury prone. at the
too
moment,
busy
actually.
doing his fucking hair.
He's actually become injury prone. Actually, he did miss the last week of the Premier League season to join the Colombian squad, and then he got injured, and then he's missed the Colombian squad for the Copa America. So
Did he?
there you go. Yeah.
What's the what about the rumor of him being transgender and
He's a
Him?
bit
I
of
don't
a
know
fag.
about that.
I think he's a bit of a faggot. He has that tendencies about him.
if you
I
say
just
so?
said he spends so much time on his
I
hair.
think he's more of a pretty boy than a faggot, but
Same shit.
no, it's not because if he's pretty boy, you like girls.
No, but maybe he likes fucking boys liking him.
Maybe.
He just
All right.
assumes.
Anyway,
Anyway, Kuma,
massive digression.
He touches fucking.
He's uncomfortable, eh?
I know.
Massive
maybe
digression.
he likes
Squirming,
boys.
squirming in his seat.
Anyways.
surprise appointments of coaches. Anyway.
Another one that comes to mind is Neville at Valencia.
Yeah, main reason for that, he's good friends with the owner at Valencia. That's why he got the
There's
job.
the explanation
Was that
there
why?
for you.
Yeah, pretty much. He was
He's
good.
Who's the owner?
good friend,
Asian,
good friend
Chinese.
and business partner of the
Something
owner.
like that, yeah.
Oh, because obviously Neville, after finishing from United, and then he got into he was assistant for the national team for England,
Then he became a pundit.
and then he became a pundit. He's actually a good pundit. I like him. He speaks a lot of sense and he's very blunt with assessment and that. So I actually quite enjoy that. But then, from being a pundit, he went all of a sudden he's appointed at Valencia. I'm like, what the fuck's going on?
His only claim to fame in Valencia was his team drew with Real Madrid, which got Rafa Benitez sacked a few days later.
Now, Akram, how do you feel? How do you feel about Adasi calling the Valencia owner some Asian?
What nationality Asian
I
was
don't
he
want to
got?
get it wrong if it was Chinese or Korean or
The same, right? Yeah,
They-
right.
they-
But we have to point out his nationality. Hey, I got you, Akram.
You coming back?
I've got your back, bro. I've got your back.
How do you actually eventually do though for Valencia?
Terrible,
Not
bro. He
good.
got sacked after how many games?
Mid-table and then didn't do anything. And he
How
got
many
sacked.
games was he there for?
10 maybe, not even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was barely.
I think he just went there to enjoy the sun. As all the Brits do.
And what's also weird is that he doesn't speak Spanish.
Yeah, that's right. They say he never spoke Spanish.
It's a weird appointment as
Yeah,
well.
so he had a
because of that.
translator and whatnot.
Basically on David Moyes when he got into Real Sociedad.
I remember that.
But David Moyes, he went to Everton. He was at Everton. He was at United. So he's got more of a track record to at least take a risk on someone who doesn't speak the language
Correct.
Yeah.
and put a translator.
Yeah.
This is someone who's never ever coached.
Look at Bielsa at Leeds. He doesn't speak English, but you have a
Yeah.
translator.
Can I ask though, how does someone like Neville, does he even have his coaching licenses? How's
He
he
would,
allowed?
he would.
Oh, he would have
You
it.
have to have him to be.
You'd have
to
to.
That's what I was
coach
going to say, but
Yeah.
like I don't even
Yeah.
know if fucking he has them. Like
Yeah,
I just played and
Neville won
we don't know what else he's
to
done.
Valencia was a bit of a surprise.
That was a weird
Weird one.
appointment. Didn't make sense.
Another one that went to Spain from England is Tony Adams.
Yeah, Granada. That
Granada.
was a
They
bit of
went
a
back
weird
down
one
to
too.
the Segunda. Didn't do well there.
But why Tony Adams?
What's his record in after he left Arsenal?
No, he coached
Oh,
a couple of
retired.
he coached a couple of lower league teams.
Yeah.
That was it. Nothing special. Didn't do anything with them.
You know what? Maybe the alcohol's better in Spain. And Tony took Tony Adams there.
Telling you that,
Yeah.
probably that and the sun as well. The beaches.
Funny.
Look, I get coaches wanting the sun, but the club's taking a stab at these ex-players. And it goes back to the
Especially
argument.
Spanish clubs that don't
Yeah.
know that wouldn't value an English manager like that. I just feel that styles are too
The only one that
contrasting.
was the few that came to mind that remember back in the 90s, Bobby Robson. He went to
Barcelona.
Barcelona,
Robson,
and
Barcelona.
Terry Venables was at Barcelona as well
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, Venables did a lot though. He was a
Yeah.
fucking weird character. Bobby Robson was very respected though.
Yeah.
Even after he left Barcelona, everywhere that he went. he
Yeah,
was
and everyone
respected.
speaks very highly of him.
Very, very, very highly of him. So
Yeah.
there must have been something about him.
Yeah.
Funny you said. You reminded me of Zola at Watford. That was a weird one
Oh,
as
yeah.
well.
Mm.
I mean, he did take him to the playoff final. I think 2016. That famous win against
Leicester?
Leicester City.
Yeah.
Was it Leicester? Leicester or Birmingham? Sorry.
Leicester.
That last minute
That was in
3-3.
2016, though. That was.
Sorry.
When Troy Deeney scored that.
Yeah,
winner?
2014 maybe or 13. I
Yeah.
don't know, something like that. But yeah, that was a weird one as well. Zola at Watford.
Why? Why was that weird?
What the fuck's he doing? What the fuck is Zola?
Well, you spent so many years in England.
He couldn't even speak English at fucking Watford.
But you had Di Canio coaching at Southampton, Sunderland. Where was it? Sunderland, wasn't it?
Yeah, he coached a little bit at Sunderland.
It's because they played in England, so therefore they're not in the English
Come
football.
on, Alan Shearer coached at Newcastle and they got him fucking relegated. Their hero relegated them.
But it goes back to the argument.
How ironic.
A great player doesn't make a great manager, does
No,
it?
they don't.
No, not all the time.
No. I
All
mean,
the time.
I'll give you another example. Thierry Henry. People speak of him as probably one of the greatest players ever in the Premier League. Flopped at Monaco.
And the reason Fabregas went to Monaco was because Henry was coach,
Yeah.
and then he got sacked.
Assistant at Belgium. What did he do? He didn't do shit. They thought, okay, he got an assistant fucking experienced assistant coach of Belgian national team.
Yeah.
Goes to Monaco, gets
Yeah.
sacked after how many
Where's
years?
Patrick Vieira now?
Patrick Vieira was assistant at Man City for a while.
And then they went to Nice, didn't he? He's
I
coaching
don't know where
there.
he's at now.
Yeah,
Now,
Nice.
Vieira, Henry, and
Ligue 1.
Bergkamp now are too concerned about getting Arsenal takeover and
Yeah.
having some sort of
I watched him
role,
coach live,
some
Vieira.
role. What you watched him coach live?
New York City.
Fuck, how tall is he? Yeah, that's right. He was at New York City.
And Pirlo was coming on as well.
How
Pirlo
tall
was
is the
playing-
motherfucker?
I don't know. It was
Vieira?
Yeah.
Not that tall, man.
Oh, he is 1.9.
Fatty for you, everyone's pretty
Fuck
tall,
off,
man.
idiot.
Oh, jab. This guy.
Anyone else from that era, from the Arsenal era, that became coaches?
Arteta.
He's doing well.
Trust
Same
the
shit.
process.
Same shit. He fucking goes and he's assistant coach to Guardiola for a couple of seasons. I think, oh, mad, you've learnt. That just proves to you that just because you're there doesn't mean you fucking learn shit.
Another weird one was speaking of the English football, Sven-Goran Eriksson. So he had the English national team, and then he did some weird sort of jump around.
Yeah, went
Mexican national team. He had
China as well. I think.
China. He had Leicester for a while.
Yeah.
So to see him from the English national team to Leicester, and we're talking about Leicester before they became the Premier League champions.
Yeah.
The equivalent of Leicester now would probably back then today would probably be what Watford, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, not that bad. But yes, fucking a mid-table club.
So if someone like
When was that about, like 2010 that kind of area? This was, like you said,
Yeah, it was
before
earlier.
Leicester was...
It was earlier before Leicester.
was
Yeah.
what Leicester's
for
now.
someone for Ericsson who just coached the World Cup as well, like it's a weird,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's a weird place to go.
Yeah.
The funny one, it happens a lot with the Arab teams. They'll always get a European coach because they'll just pay him stupid money.
Yeah.
What was that fucking French coach who went and coached Bahrain or some shit? Just random.
They all do.
Yeah, no.
Random.
Yeah, all of them
Like,
do.
what
They
do they
all
know
do.
about anything? They just pay him stupid money and they...
They think
They
because he's
Yeah.
European, he's got the experience, they can perform miracles all the time.
There's two that I want to touch on. One for Barca, one for Real Madrid. The Barcelona Setien. How the fuck did you get that
Look,
job, man? Who did you have to
I
stake
think
with?
Setien was doing a good job with Betis, but the Barcelona job was just too much for him to handle. He
Yeah.
just did not handle it at all well. Pretty much it. That's it.
Sounds like Ian Crook at the Wanderers for fucking 3 games. How many games was it?
At the Wanderers, Crookie.
Yeah.
Well, Sydney FC, wasn't it?
FC, you mean?
FC.
No.
Did
He came at Wanderers as an assistant and then he couldn't fucking handle it for a bit.
Oh, assistant.
Yeah. As an assistant, yeah.
Yeah, but he buckled, bro. He was fucking couldn't handle anything.
Well, couldn't
Um,
carry the cones probably. On.
Anyway, Johnny, I think like what you really
I mean, anyway,
seem
that
to
is the
be
topic.
stick on. What?
That is the topic. We are on the topic.
I know.
You're saying anyway, like we've gone off on a tangent.
Well, you have a little small
but that's
one.
the fucking topic. Why?
No,
Because I
it's
mentioned
not.
Wanderers.
We're talking about unusual coaching hires.
Yeah.
So, and what I'm really hearing from you, Johnny, is that what you're thinking about is what's going on in the minds of the people doing the hiring of these coaches? Why are they going out on these outside of the
It's a
box
fucking
hires?
deep question, bro. That's
is-
really
it
deep.
is-
I don't know
it
if
is
we have
a
that
deep
kind of
question.
No,
time.
I want to finish. Let him finish, yeah.
Well, like it does go to show. At least some of these clubs are trying to do something different. At least trying to create a different approach, trying to do something different, rather than some of the big clubs that we've talked about so far. Always going for the safe hires. It's sometimes good to go for the big risky ones. After all, Fatty, wouldn't you say Arsene Wenger was a risky hire for Arsenal?
Back 96.
Yeah, but what was Arsenal done before then?
It's not the point, but like some of these clubs are small teams, but they're going for the risky hire too.
Arsenal didn't become Arsenal until Wenger came.
I understand, but that's what Granada's not Granada until Tony Adams. You never know. There's an
There's
alternate
still
dimension
Granada,
there
that's
where
right.
they could have become
Good city,
something
but I
else.
love Granada as a city.
Yeah, that's a fair point. There's also trends. Like
Yeah. There's also trends.
there's trends. So, for example, now there's that hiring young managers.
Ever since Frank
Former
Rijkaard,
players as
would
well.
you say Frank Rijkaard kind of was the one that started it? Pep Guardiola followed on.
Yeah.
Guardiola, Luis
Yeah.
Enrique.
Yeah.
You had that trend.
Do you know what's trend I'd like to come back? Player manager.
Rooney did that for a
Just
bit.
out of curiosity.
Vialli.
Yeah, and Vialli did that Chelsea for
I
a bit.
loved the Vialli at
And
Chelsea
Gullit.
player
You
manager.
can't. How do you do
Funny,
that?
his then is like, fuck, I'm just going to come on, you fucking idiots. No one's listening.
But
to me. I want to show you
what
I'm
if he
gonna
screws
do.
up? Do you
I'm on.
Take
swear at
the
the
ball
coach?
Yeah. Fucking puts himself on because
You don't wanna
fear
say
they had
that.
of it. I fucking love it, but I thought it was fucking
just like
cool.
park football, huh?
I thought there was just something fucking cool about it. I don't know.
Get your suit off, put your jersey on.
He was always in fucking tracksuit Vialli.
What
That's
about-
why. And when he wasn't, you knew he wasn't going to play.
I don't know if we call it surprise appointment.
Sorry. Ryan Giggs did it. I mean, United. He was the last one.
Yeah.
I don't call it surprise appointment.
No, Rooney
but,
did it at Derby.
Sorry, Derby. Yeah.
The surprise appointment at the time, I don't know. I found it. I don't know if it was a surprise or was it the right move at the time. Andre Villas-Boas going to Chelsea
Yeah.
from Porto. He was very young, like 32, 33.
Was that before he went to Tottenham?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a surprise.
He had a lot of hopes about the guy, man.
I
He-
thought it was after. I thought Chelsea was. Oh no, it was after.
He
right.
had the success with Porto winning the Europa League, the domestic league and cup, and then went to Chelsea. Big things expected of him, and then
He was very young. Though.
he was very
But,
right.
you,
Yeah.
very,
but they're
very
probably looking for the next Mourinho. That's why.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of people saw Mourinho in him, like not a former
Yeah.
player, worked as a translator or whatever it was, and then just didn't work out. And then now he's a rally driver, actually.
What?
Easy.
Yeah.
What a fucking stat!
Doing some rally driving.
I love
He just
Adasi brought
completed
up-
that football.
I love Adasi brought him up just so he could put that stat up.
No,
yeah.
Wow, that was
like
fucking
at the time,
crazy.
I thought, did they take a big
Oh,
gamble?
yeah, sure. At the time, you thought of it, yeah.
But he didn't look. He
Rally
didn't
train.
do.
And then he
too
went
ba-
to
he didn't do too-
Zenit St. Petersburg as well.
Yeah, he didn't do too badly at Tottenham. Like considering what Tottenham is and the players he had at his disposal, he didn't do too badly. Like, what did they fucking expect to win the league? Of course not. Like, shut the fuck up. I think he did okay for where he was at. And then obviously they weren't happy. They moved him on. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that was a weird
I
one.
had hopes for him. I thought
You
he
got,
was
you
gonna
got me off guard with that rally drive.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
I don't know if he's doing it
Think
full
about
time or part time, but he's into that stuff.
Where? Which country?
Portugal,
Where-
of course.
Portugal.
No, he could fucking.
Doesn't he
I
the
don't know.
Dakar Rally? I don't know. Whatever.
Could
it
be
was.
the Bahrain rally. I don't
Yeah,
fucking
the
know.
Dakar Rally, the one in Senegal. Anyway, that's another one.
What about Madrid hiring Queiroz?
Yeah, I think so. What do you
Carlos
remember?
Queiroz.
I mean, look, it was definitely a bit of a gamble, but like he was a highly rated assistant coach.
He
And
was, but he's never
Sir
coached
Alex
before.
Ferguson's number. It wasn't. No,
did.
was
like-
that after he was Ferguson's number 2?
Yeah, he
That's
was
probably
really
why.
highly rated.
Before Ferguson number 2 was coaching South Africa and I can't remember some other
Wasn't he at
countries.
Sporting as well for a bit?
Yeah, it was a long time ago before that. Yeah,
Okay.
and
So
he,
he was considered a highly touted coach. Sir Alex Ferguson certainly thought highly of him. So it was like, while it was seen as a bit of a risky hire, it was going to be his first time job. And in hindsight, it was a pretty silly idea getting someone who's never coached before
be
to coach all these superstar players like Zidane, Ronaldo, Figo, etc.
to be honest
That's
though,
true.
I
That's
felt
true.
all the Real's failure in that first year in the Galactica era wasn't his fault because the recruitment for Real that season was bad. The only signing they made was David Beckham.
Yeah,
they
that's
sold
right.
Makalele, sold Hierro, let go of Morientes on loan to Monaco, who knocked out Real Madrid in the Champions League.
Yes, I remember that.
McManaman was let go. They were on the verge of signing Gabi Milito, but then apparently he failed his medical
Yep.
and
He went to Barca and won
won some trophies there.
But then, and then they only put in David Beckham, and then
you know what? That season they were going really well. They were on the course to win the 3 trophies, the treble. But then everything fell apart in March. They lost the league, lost the Champions League, and everything. Copper.
Regardless, it's weird to hire from a huge club with Real Madrid with such big
Do you
superstars
think they'll get?
to hire someone that with
Johnny,
who's not currently coaching as a head coach.
Yeah.
I think from Real Madrid's perspective, I think what they liked from these young, inexperienced coaches, and I mean they've had quite a few. Like look at Zidane, Solari. You know, they've tried their young coaches. I think what Perez likes is that he can mold them. He has a bit of power over them. They're just
save money.
happy to be there.
Do
Save money,
as I say.
but
kind
do
of
as I say. They're not going to have much
Sounds
say in the
like
transfer
Perez
policy.
is mates with Epstein. He likes the power, manipulation. It's like a bit of a pedo, if you ask me.
Wow. That's a big call.
Don't
Sorry,
upset-
sorry,
don't
Darcy.
upset
No,
Adasi.
don't take
Do
it.
you still
Don't take it.
do you still kiss a Perez photo every night before bed, or
Please, he's got his flaws, man.
His flaws, like he's only got a couple.
Quite a lot, a few.
flaws.
The
He's
guy's
got a
fucking,
few.
the guy's the
Decent
biggest,
man
the
at heart,
guy's, the
buddy.
guy's more, there's a guy's
As
a
I
bigger
said,
villain than fucking, what's his
Vince
name?
McMahon.
Sepp Blatter now.
He's a Vince McMahon of world football.
what a comparison?
Vince McMahon.
Now, Fatty, you mentioned the name before we started recording about a failure as a coach. I can't say it out loud in those. I can't put failure and his name in the same sentence.
Yeah,
So
of
can you
course, because
say
he
it?
offended. And
Who's
but
this?
I made sure that we discussed it today. So I was referring to the great late Maradona.
Oh, yeah.
Stand up when you talk about him.
Now, you know, an appointment of Maradona is very. It's rosy and it's Maradona, the greatest
Nostalgic,
player,
yeah.
and whatever, and everyone loves it. I understand it's great, but has anyone actually looked at his record?
He's got no record because he's not a coach.
Do you
Yeah,
think?
that's my
Don't you usually
question.
say it's a marketing
No,
move?
the coaching record. So the teams he actually coached, what's his record there? Don't say he has no record. Obviously, he has a record because he actually coached.
Who has he
them.
coached?
Argentina, in fucking Mexico, whatever that fucking club was.
All right. Let
So
me-
what?
let me-
So let's
Johnny, there's a
because
big
it's
sign of
Maradona.
Coaching
Alright.
the UAE as well.
Because it's Maradona, let's erase the fact that he played any games.
I haven't said anything. You haven't let me speak.
No, but I said
You mean coach Coach.
I'm saying, what are the record for the games that he coached? And you go, but he doesn't have a record. What do you mean he doesn't have a record?
Who did he coach before Argentina?
coached
Before Argentina, he had a few coaching stints in the 90s while he was playing.
I'm talking about coaching
Like,
Argentina.
but Argentina was the first time he actually coached properly
Why?
because of the name. And I said it to you before, and I'll say it again. Maradona as a coach
Don't be
is
angry,
not. Sorry,
Don't be angry, bro. I'm just asking.
well, you're making me a little bit angry.
Dude, you're the one slamming your hand on the table, buddy.
Because he's avoiding my question.
Maradona as a coach is not a coach. He's a marketing tool. Okay? As soon as Argentina appointed him as coach of the national team, the private company who owns, it's all business, it's all negotiations. The private company that owns the friendlies that Argentina plays, it's not run by the federation. It's run by a private company, I think, from Russia, who own every friendly that the national team plays. Every game was sold out in Ireland, all over the world.
Just for him.
The money went up. The sponsors came in.
TV ratings.
Everything went up when Maradona. They played friendly games in different cities of Argentina, so the people went to watch. It was a symbol for the team more than a tactical coach. He's not a tactical coach. He never was.
Well,
now,
okay,
if you watch the documentaries, there's one on Netflix, I think, of when he was in Mexico. Right, there's games he coached in Argentina. Just as he passed away, he was a coach in Argentina. He went to half the training sessions. He hires coaches to run everything, and he goes there whenever he can, whenever his health allows him, whenever he can do
Bit
it.
of motivational talk.
He's a great motivational person to be in the change room. You play there, you play for Maradona, and you want to chop your legs off for him. But from a tactical point of view, he's not a coach.
But that leads to an interesting point about managers in general and about that hire, because so Fadi wants to talk about it as a failure of a decision, which it was, but Johnny, you look at it more and say, look, it was a PR move. However, a lot of people would say that World Cups and international competitions like that really, like, how much tactics do go into it when you can't coach the same side week in, week out. A lot of it is about motivation. A lot of it is about inspiration. And who's going to be more inspiring than Maradona? Symbolically, it wasn't the worst idea in the world to get someone who was a great leader when he was playing to try to motivate the team. And especially when you had, and it was 2010?
2010.
A talented squad as they did. Lionel Messi in his prime, how much tactics and technical kind of wrinkles did you really need to implement? This isn't Spain with Luis Aragonés and tiki-taka football or anything. Maradona just come in, tell them to play, and you know what? They'll be inspired enough to go out.
Relying on talent.
I can see the reason behind it,
And
to be honest.
to be fair, you want to analyse results. Group stage went through. Round of 16 against Mexico went through, and then quarterfinals lost against Germany
They got
4-0.
found out in that game. Yeah.
Yeah, but compared to the last World Cup, Argentina didn't make it to the quarterfinals.
Yeah,
So Maradona better than Sampaoli. With Bielsa, I know too, he had a gun squad. He didn't leave the group stage. So Maradona did
Yeah.
better than Bielsa.
Yeah.
Peckerman had a gun squad. They went to the same stage.
Yeah.
Apart from the Brazil 2014, he went to the quarterfinals just like every other Argentina squad did. So results-wise, it's not he was.
I think for
He
that
wasn't a
one-
complete failure.
But I
either,
think
was
even
he?
in that World Cup, you see him on the sidelines, all the interest was around him. He was
There were special. What do you mean? There were TV channels that had during the whole game, throughout the whole game, a box in the corner just focusing on him the whole game.
Fucking
Well,
hell.
there you go. I remember that game.
So they're showing you the game, and in the corner of the screen,
Maradona
you
cam.
could just focus. This isn't,
Maradona
but it isn't
cam.
Argentina. These other countries in the world,
The
not
Maradona
Argentina.
cam, I love it.
So, like, just gives you a bit of an insight on what his life was like and why he was appointed as a coach.
And I remember that game against Nigeria, and then Yakubu for Nigeria had taken the throw in, and on the
Yeah.
side of Maradona having a laugh and a chat, and like for him it was like, wow, I'm next to one of my idols, my player I grew up watching, and I'm loving this. You know, he was loving it.
Honestly, look, I think if you're hiring Maradona at that time with a long-term point of view, then I think the FA really, deserves to be criticised severely. I think that was a hire for that one World Cup. Let's see how far we get. Let's see how inspiring he can get the players. Let's see how far Messi and company can take him. The that, whatever happens, eh? And I mean, like I said before about all these other weird signings, take the risk. It's Maradona, and you have Messi in his prime. Just go for it.
Any last thoughts, guys?
I got another weird signing. Marcus Babbel to the Wanderers. The fuck was that about? What the fuck made Marcus Babbel think that there's even football being played in Australia? Considering he played at the highest level in England, played in the Champions League,
Play for Bayern as well.
played for Bayern
So
Munich.
is it weird?
National
Is it weird
team.
for Wanderers to hire him or for him to come to Australia?
Weird for him to come to Australia and coach the Wanderers.
Well, from the last videos he's made on the social media, it sounds like he's not all there. So.
Come on, you fucking Wanderers.
Remember that
those
when
fucking
he threw that
moves.
jacket against the Sydney FC game, or whatever, kicked the chair, whatever he did.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right.
That's-
That was at where was that? Which game? Where did we play that?
SCG.
SCG, I think it was.
Was it? It was around the stadium. I remember.
Yeah, SCG.
Maybe
Yeah, that's
that
what
it
it
was.
was too.
He came because of the sunny weather as well. Just like going to Valencia.
Oh yeah,
Is that why I came?
people want to come to Australia for the.
Well, he was wearing shorts and a short sleeve shirt. So remember that? Yeah,
Yeah, there was an Instagram page dedicated to his fucking outfits. He used to wear a beret and fucking I don't know what. They had all this.
Did he get a tattoo of the Wanderers logo?
did. In his arm.
Yeah.
Did someone told me what is he gonna do with that? I said fucking.
he got sacked not long after.
He got one of every club that he was at apparently. So
Well, it's
Tells
passion,
you.
it's just a memory thing
commitment for
him.
the club. Yeah.
Far out. All right. I like that.
It was good.
Different arguments,
Yeah.
different. Got a lot of international football coming up as well, so I could be watching a lot of Netflix. I'm
Yeah.
assuming.
You said that the other week. I'm really excited about Euro. I just
Yeah,
don't
you
like.
Oh, what a
football.
hypocrite.
You're a fucking liar, bro.
I
Typical
just don't like
hypocrite.
international qualifiers and
And that's
dailies and all that
That's
kind
it,
of.
because we're always against him. So people are gonna think that we're biased and we're saying that no, he's full of shit. What do you reckon?
Hey, it does tend to have something against international football.
Thank
Not,
you.
it's
Dude.
not international
Thank you very
tournaments
much.
like
Not
the
like
Euro
online.
and World Cup.
But then
They
qualify-
have friendlies and such. Like it's just too much.
Then how do you qualify? How do you qualify
Exactly.
for tournaments? Then what's your solution?
I'm not saying you
So
don't.
he doesn't
I'm
want any
not-
qualifiers. Just put the big teams in and that's it.
Super League.
Super League.
Typical.
I'm not saying that you don't need them. It's a necessary evil. Doesn't mean I have to like them.
You sound like a capitalist.
I don't know how you got there, but
All right, guys. Any last words, Akram, before you go?
me, I thought you were going to give it to Paddy.
Say the line, Akram.
You're back now. You're back.
I'm back. Oh, okay, fair enough. That's why don't you try then? Why don't you go? For it?
No, I'll leave it for you, mate. It's for you. It's your.
All right, guys. As always, if you could leave a like and a comment on the video, let us know any kind of strange hires that Johnny didn't research for us. So yeah, please let us know any kind what you think. Any other videos you would like us to do. We are going to be talking about Euro and Copa America in the next few weeks, and I'm waiting for you guys to watch the Roberto Baggio movie.
Oh, have you watched
The
that?
one- Yeah.
How was it?
Not good.
Really? Honestly.
What? No.
I heard he wasn't that great.
Oh,
You
Why?
know what? We watch it, and then we'll get back
No,
to
hang
it.
on a
Yeah.
second. Why? Fuck, I feel
Whoa.
so
No,
disappointed.
I don't wanna know. I don't-
give me-
We'll talk about
don't
another
give me a
episode.
spoiler. I just want to know roughly.
No, I don't want to know
Just
because I want to
quickly,
have.
bro.
I want it for my own opinion.
Okay, give
That's
us a
it.
rating
No,
out of
no,
10.
no, no.
Yeah, a rating out of 10.
Rating out of 10, I would honestly give it 3.
What?
Wow, that-
Wow.
That's fucking
Well,
that's a
terrible.
bit of
That's
anti-
upsetting, bro.
being generous.
Anticlimactic.
All right.
Anticlimactic.
On that note, see you later.